And welcome to Go Social's advanced workshop. I'm just getting settled in here again. God, the weekend really does make you forget a few things, doesn't it? So to those who are joining us today for the first time, welcome. And for those joining us again, welcome back. My name is Aycan Garip, and I am the Go Social Project Coordinator. I will be facilitating the talks and the panel discussions that we will be having today. Before we get started, just a quick note on some ground rules of the platform that we're going to be using. I'm hearing some feedback, so if there's any chance that everyone can wear either a headset or some headphones, and ideally have your microphones on mute, that way I won't be getting some feedback and everyone will be able to hear me a lot clearer. So in our introductory workshops, we likened this whole webinar experience to a flight. So welcome on board flight SE201. Just a quick reminder that this workshop is being recorded and it will be made available for you later on our website to watch if you happen to miss parts of it, or if there's a connection problem, or if you just want to, if you couldn't make it today and would like to see it again, so you can share. Sharing is caring. Please make sure you have at all times, everything that you need, that you will be needing with you, either notepads or pencils. And if you don't, this is the time to run and get things in case you're missing it. We will not be having in-flight drinks service, so make sure you have everything with you and make sure that we have your full attention at all times. If you do need to leave your computer or phone or device, please do so as quickly as possible and come back and have your seatbelts in and be with us as much as you can. We wouldn't want you to miss anything. Which means we're refraining from in-flight entertainment. Please do not try multitasking, sewing buttons on or watching Netflix on the side. We would like for everyone to treat this like we were there in a room together, so you can get the most, make the most of this time that we have together. It'll go by really fast. You think 3 hours is a long time, and in the blink of an eye, it's been done. So trust me, the more engaged you are, the quicker and the more, I guess, useful it's going to be to you. Now, if you look to your right, you should see a side panel with some drop-down menus. There is a handouts section where you'll be able to see handouts for today, which are going to be the presentations, as well as the agenda that we have for you. Some bios about our panel guests, which we will be talking to later about some of the challenges for social entrepreneurs and talk about social entrepreneurship in Cyprus. And that would be my phone, but we'll try and ignore that. Just a message. And we will also, if you can have a look at the handouts from day 1 and day 2, which was our introductory workshop. If you do have any questions at any point, we highly encourage you to use the questions section throughout the panel, throughout the webinar. So if at any point you have a question, go ahead and ask. On the agenda, you will see that we do have a designated Q&A time, which we have dedicated, and we will try and answer as many of your questions as we can during that time. If not, we will be compiling those into a frequently asked questions document and then sharing them with you later on. So, last but not least, we will be handing out certificates for participating in this workshop, as well as those who have also joined us for the introductory workshop, and we will be in touch with you regarding this in the future. But today, let's just focus on what we have at hand. So this is going to be a repeat for some, and it's going to be brand new for those joining us today again. So Go Social is a bi-communal project, and it is funded by the European Union. And we would like to take a moment to thank the European Union, because you would not be here, we would not have been able to prepare this content, and it's just that we would like to take the time and say thanks once again to the European Union for their support, especially during the lockdown that happened. They were very great at helping us come up with new ways of how we could continue our project activities. So a big thanks to the European Union on that. We started in 2018, and we will be continuing our project activities until 2021. Some feedback there again. We're 3 partners. I'm here on behalf of the Famagusta Walled City Association. Our friends Dimitra and Kyriaki are here on behalf of Akti Project and Research Center, which you will see later on your screens. And we have Sherita from Famagusta Women's Association Center. And she was part of our mentors, but she will not be on your screens today, but hopefully she will be for the Turkish workshops, which we will be doing in June. And we will be updating you on the dates of that through our social media pages and website. So please make sure you click and follow and keep an eye out for that. The project aims to support employability within Cyprus, but with a focus on the Turkish Cypriot community and the northern part of Cyprus through social entrepreneurship. And we're targeting many different demographics here: unemployed youth, disadvantaged groups, women, students, existing entrepreneurs who are looking to transition into the world of social entrepreneurship. So a broad net that we have cast to try and spread the word of what social entrepreneurship is and how you might go about doing that. So welcome to the advanced workshop, which is one of probably the highlights of our capacity building activities. On the 21st and 22nd, we had our introductory workshops where we talked a bit about the key knowledge and skills for self-employment. We looked at some examples of social enterprises and the field of work for social enterprises. On the 23rd, some of the participants who were keen to get some ideas down and to work on developing a business model worked along with our social enterprise networks, our social entrepreneurship mentors. There we go. And today we're actually going to be hearing some of their ideas and taking a look at their business canvases. So that will be coming up later. And today here we are, the last day of the English speaking workshops, I might add. And we're going to look at enhancing business development skills. Later on, we will have a panel discussion with some guests, and we will also be taking a look at the business models from the group work. Just to briefly introduce our panelists today, we have Dimitra Orthodoxou from Emphasis, and she will be our logistically minded panelist. She's also a project coordinator for Erasmus Plus and is working on developing training materials, which also encapsulates social entrepreneurship and how that might benefit employability skills. So we'll be talking to her and asking her questions about that later. And we have both co-founders and co-presidents of Cyprus Inno, which you probably have come across if you've been around and you've been looking into entrepreneurship in Cyprus. You must have come across both these wonderful people here and the name Cyprus Inno as well. So we will be talking to them later, along with our expert, our very own expert, Dr. Michalis Stoizides. He's a chemical and environmental engineer. He studied in the UK and Athens, and later came back to Cyprus to settle down and become a social entrepreneur himself. He's the founder of Isotech Limited and also one of the leading people with the social initiative Tigano Kinisi, which if you've attended the introductory workshop, you've heard a lot about. It's collected many accolades over the years and is setting an amazing example of how social entrepreneurship can advance communities and schools and contribute to education and just the quality of life of people and young people in general. He's also the co-chair of the Bicommunal Environmental Technical Committee, and it's great to have him with us again. He will be opening up with a presentation on how to generate innovative ideas in social entrepreneurship later, but not before. We have our poll. So you'll be familiar with these polls from our introductory workshop, and in a bit, our friend Dimitra will be getting that live for you. You'll be seeing it on your screens. if you experience any problems with it, it may be that you need to exit from full screen mode. So that's that button there with the red circle. So whenever you're ready, Dimitra, if you would like to launch the poll, and it's just a quick question. We basically just wanted to find out, just to get an idea of who it is that we're talking to and who's with us at the moment. What interested you in being here, in joining this? What are you looking to get out of it? And it's not meant to be something that you think about for hours and hours. We could do that all day, but just within, what's your gut instinct? What brought you here, and whichever is closest to describing that, then go ahead and click, and we will be having our answers popping up on the screen shortly. So there's a lot more interest here that I can see from our attendee numbers. Curious to see what brought you all here, and I'm sure some of you are here from our introductory workshops as well. So it may be that you're looking to either explore the business model further. Some of you may just be curious as to what it is we've been advertising all over Facebook. Okay, so our results are just coming in now. And okay, so I'm sorry, I'm going to get real close to this now because it's really small on my computer, but just take a moment. Okay, so I'm guessing the 50% is joining us from the introductory workshops. I want to find a job, okay, in the social entrepreneurship sector. I want to volunteer. Okay, so a lot of people wanting to develop into social business, which I guess is exactly what we're going to be focusing on today. So great, we are right on track with that. I hope everyone gets something out of social entrepreneurship or the things that we're going to be talking about social entrepreneurship today, and hopefully the business models will be somewhat encouraging to you to maybe start your own initiative to go into social entrepreneurship or to start your own enterprise. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to stop talking now and leave the screen to Dr. Michalis Loizides so that he could enlighten us a bit on stimulating innovative ideas. Michalis, the floor is yours, or I guess the screen is yours. Michalis, we seem to be not, I don't think we're able to hear you. Is there a problem? Are we experiencing problems with sound at the moment?
Now it's okay, yeah?
Now you're live, go for it.
Perfect. I can also see my Kiragi at the back. So it's one of the very happy moments to be in the last session that we will be able to find out what exactly have we accomplished in those 2 days webinar, and it's a good opportunity for everyone to share their thoughts, to send us questions, and to be able to share our ideas on so many things. So I was asked to present, let's say, to bring together all the issues that we have been raising all these days, and to discuss over the way that we can innovate to tackle social and environmental problems. So as one of the ideas to stimulate the generation of innovative ideas. So this is the section is focused on this issue of to stimulate the generation of innovative ideas. We have already discussed a lot about it. It will be short, just a few moments, a few minutes, and let's remember a glance of what has been said about innovation and social entrepreneurs in the intro workshops. So we have written here with Yannis Fesas a few things. So a social enterprise operates by providing goods and services for the market in an entrepreneurial and innovative fashion and uses its profit primarily to achieve social objectives. So remind yourself all the time that I'm not here to make money per se. I will have a very good salary. However, my objective should be focused on social gaps, social issues. So social entrepreneurship starts with an idea. To be successful, one needs to always be thinking of new ideas and better ways of doing things. I must confess that in all my efforts, actually this was the motto. So you always come with an idea, at the end you make it better and better all the way. Social entrepreneurs look at situations differently. Where most of the people think of unsolved problems, they see an opportunity to get creative. Don't forget that almost all the social enterprises that I know at this moment were actually were actually done in this respect. So they saw a gap. I will give you the example of Tigano Guinnessy. We asked for money for the schools to be able to change into doing sustainable, into being a sustainable model, role model. They couldn't, so we found a way through the used oils to sell them and then bring back the money for new technologies, new techniques, new educational tools. Social entrepreneurs think outside the box and look for opportunity to come up with new solutions to social and environmental problems. Outside the box, it's something, if you see at the picture, you will see that it's having the mindset of being able to see things differently than the others. So for me, and that's why I'm an environmental engineer, I'm a social entrepreneur in this respect, that social innovation is directed towards society and environment. This should be our aim, our focus. So, how to stimulate the generation of innovative ideas? We said again, factors stimulate innovation is problems from the surrounding. We usually discuss, we are in a coffee shop discussing about several things and always say, why couldn't we do it this way? The moment that you say, why couldn't we do it this way? It's the stimuli that you should take into consideration. Can I do it differently? And if I can do it, why not? The need for diversification. We usually look at the same direction. Most of the people look at the same direction. That's the reason for not being able to see the possibility for something different. So diversification from what is usually done, how it's usually done, a certain thing is what we are really looking for. And actually in your proposals that we will discuss afterwards, we will all see exactly this differentiation and this effort to find the way to make things better and to find gaps. So factors which promote innovation is correct environment, first successes, so you can find the correct environment, you say that yes, so I can work in this issue. Then it's the first successes, so step by step, don't be encouraged to do everything in once. And you have to have encouragement from friends, from family, from everyone. okay, as many as possible to encourage you to do that, because the enthusiasm is coming first. Factors which kill innovation: resistance to change, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of risk. For me, the fear of risk, I must confess that it's the most amazing thing. My father and mother used to work in the government, and they were always telling us that, well, if you could find a job that is safe and you don't have a fear of losing your job, that would be the optimum. Now, if you have this character and this idea, then please turn off your screen. Okay, here you need to feel that to escape from this fear of risk. You have risk when you're in the private sector. When you're an entrepreneur, if you have no risk, then you don't have a good idea. So, and negativeness of others. Usually you have the one of second in your team or your friends that will tell you, oh, for God's sake, no, this is too risky. The moment that you see these things, you should avoid those people. They are not good for your idea and your mentality. How to stimulate the generation of innovative ideas? Again, the starting point for the creation of a high social impact is innovation and zeal. Again, zeal. That means that you want to do it. You have the passion to do it. If you don't have the passion and just another idea and it's just another job, no, you are outside of what somebody should have in order to succeed. The creation of ideas needs, so you need for this the madness. The amazing thing is that you need the madness for the creation of the idea, so to be diverse, so to say that, nobody done like this, I will do it. So you need to be a bit mad, but then the evaluation of the idea needs seriousness. So how can you combine madness with seriousness? Well, that's why we don't have many entrepreneurs, and especially social entrepreneurs, because only few people have this ability of turning madness into seriousness. The basic root of actions in a person of organization which innovates, it's again just to remember, keep it in our mind, the stimuli, the creation of the idea, the selection of the part of ideas that we need, the implementation, and then the observation and new stimuli, just to keep it going round and round. So coming back to stimuli and turning again and again, it's a feedback. We said about this observation that you may limit your risk through trying, make a pilot effort. Don't wait for everything to be fixed. Yes, you need to have a strategy, you need to have a business plan, but yes, try it even in a very small scale. What may one mean when one of the basic things that we are usually discussing with young investors is that in our way through several social enterprises in Cyprus, we found that everybody was telling us it cannot be done. So be sure when somebody tells this cannot be done to check those issues here. It cannot be done because it violates the laws of nature. I cannot jump and stay up, okay, and will fall again back. It's gravity, okay, it's nature. It's not accepted in our society. Yes, I cannot make, what can I say here? I cannot open a bar that they are all naked, inside. Our society is not mature enough to accept this. It's not proper, it's unethical, okay? It's another issue. Something else does not permit it to be done, perhaps some old regulations or law or situation. I must be very careful on these issues. I cannot do it, okay, it's my ability. I don't know what is done because it disturbs my routine, okay? Since I cannot do it, how can anyone else do it? It's a very good way of saying that I'm sure of myself, so nobody can do it. It's a prima donna syndrome, okay? And I do not want it done since I do not think of it. So if I haven't thought of it, then nobody could do it. It's again the same syndrome, and not invented here syndrome. Usually you can find this in general directors of a company, and you tell them about this, a new idea, and they tell you, no, it cannot be done because it's not their idea. Again, just remember, before I finish, that identification of the problem from our environment, solution of the problem, implementation of the solution into an idea, into a new enterprise. So try to keep this running. And of course, always in your mind, have in mind that in order to have a successful creation and activity in your organization, you have to secure quality of the organization, quality in everything actually, quality in management, in decision at all levels, information, persons, so human resources, in training. We have many failures because we don't train them, so in 2 years our personnel becomes obsolete. Quality and attitudes, so if you come in our social enterprise, actually you don't have a manager, in the sense that we are all in the same level. We don't have directors and others. So they all feel that they are actually equal and they are working for the same cause. Quality of actions, quality of products and services, you have to keep that in mind. If you lose the quality in your product and services, then everything collapses. And finally, remember, this is the 4 M's, as we call them. So it's the method that you have to have. If you don't have it, then you cannot proceed. You have the manpower, the means. If you don't have the means, then you will see that eventually you will get bored and you will lose the momentum, and also the material. That's why, if you remember, we said about the seed fund at the beginning. You have to secure that you have the money to proceed. And apart, I mean, from the enthusiasm and the spark, you have to make sure that you have very good structure. You have structured your effort in these 4 pillars. And then you have a quality output, and of course you have the causes and the effect based on this diagram that you have in front of you. So I imagine that after that, we brought back our let's say memories of what we have said before, and our knowledge of those 2 days of seminars, and we will be able to have a very positive outcome of the next discussion. I'm sure that you will be able to assist us in bringing the best out of this effort and be able to see new social enterprises arising out of this seminar that we have shared with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michalis. If at any point you would like to go back to the videos, remember that it is being recorded. Also, you can also, if you go onto the handouts, you're able to download these as well. Just so some of the things, some of the diagrams that we had, if you wanted to save them or make them your desktop background, feel free to do that. We're gonna swiftly move on to our panel discussion, and we'll ask some questions. I'm sure Dimitra will have a few things to say regarding method as well, since she's been working on developing some materials for teaching social entrepreneurship, and quite specifically with children and also adults with disabilities. So I can see everyone slowly coming up on my screen. We're missing a few, but I'll go ahead and say hi to Dimitra and Burak. I guess we're waiting for Stephen.
Oh.
I'm not sure. There we are. So everyone's unmuted. We can see you. We can hear you. If you want to say hey, just so that we know that everything's working and it's fine.
Hi.
Yay. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. So I quickly, very quickly, just to stay on track with everything, I flew over everyone's introductory bios, but I'll just say a few words about Dimitra once again. So Dimitra is you're our computer person. I love it. Yeah. Everything digital. I've been seeing so many commercials and ads about trying to get women into like coding and computers, and it is where we are now. The future is now. So it's all digital, it's all computerized, and it's so great to see that you're not only seeing it as like, oh, I'm going to study this and like work in it, but you're actually seeing it as like a tool to incorporate into multidisciplinary fields of, you know, helping it revive even maybe some things that wouldn't have necessarily been thought to be able to exist on a digital platform. So it's great to have you here with that.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this webinar. Shall I introduce myself or?
Sure, if you want to say a few words about your work, go for it. I'll just put down the video then.
My name is Dimitra. I study computer science at the University of Liverpool, and I hold a master's degree on management, economics, and consumer studies. I had the opportunity to spend 6 months in Malaga to do my thesis research on wind energy, and I had the privilege of doing my internship at ACTI. I was working on Tiganogenesis, and I'm very proud that I was part in one of these programs with social value and impact. Currently, I'm working at Emphasis Center. Emphasis is an ICT education, training, and research center. So I'm an ICT instructor. I teach ECTL and robotics to students. I'm an adult educator. I'm involved in classes with seniors and refugees. We help them to become active citizens in this digital world. And I also coordinate a couple of Erasmus Plus European programs.
And it's great to have you with us, Dimitra. Speaking of digital platforms, we have a tried, tested, and proven success story with Cyprus Inno. Hello, Burak. Hello, Stephen. Now, in 2013, way back 7 years ago, you actually met online before anyone was in lockdown and using the internet to do everything. Could you tell us a little bit about that, how everything got started?
Yeah, so 2013 is when the idea first came up, but we didn't start actually working on it until 2016, and it was the late summer, early fall of 2016. I think Burak had come to the US for a social entrepreneurship program, left, and then at some point a random American, Cypriot American being myself, reached out to him because we had a sort of similar vision and idea for the use of entrepreneurship and technology to bring together communities leading to sustainable economic and social development, but jointly on both sides and with both communities. And yeah, we started working digitally because I was in New York. So we built the website and arranged everything virtually for about 3 months until we met in person at our own intercommunal business mixer in the buffer zone a few months later.
That's a good commitment to work with someone for 3 months without even meeting them in person. But hey, it can be done. And now you have Cyprus Inno and a lot of other activities that you've done through Cyprus Inno to prove for it. I mean, you boast one of the largest databases island-wide of entrepreneurs, and people can network through you. There's a lot of educational tools on your website, and I highly recommend that people check out www.cyprusinno.com. It's an amazing website with a lot of things to offer. I'm going to quickly then answer your first question, and I guess Burak or Stephen, either one of you, feel free to answer. So about a year ago, you organized your 5th business mixer, and it was actually focused on the sustainable development goals, which we actually covered and talked about in our introductory workshops as well. I'm just curious to see if as well as during this lockdown period that the whole world has gone because of COVID-19, as well as the 1 year, I guess, progress that you've seen with entrepreneurs. Do you see more people coming to you wanting to transition into a more socially and environmentally focused business model, or are people still sticking to the more traditional way of doing entrepreneurship? What would you say?
On the event day, as what we saw, it was great attendance, and it was attendance from every sectors. It was private, public, NGOs, people already working on the sustainable development goals. It was a great mix. What amazed us was that people who signed up on the ideas, they were reaching out to us later on and seeing what they can do, how they can work on it and keep going. But today what I see is that's growing, because sustainable economy, I don't know if you watched, we had another session last week live with Cyprus, Spain, Italy together. It's not a choice anymore. It's because of the COVID pandemic, the crisis now is becoming a must. We have to be more human-centered. We need to focus more about the social issues, and now we're shifting fully towards that economy. And also, another thing is that working with the young people, probably you realize it too. A lot of people come with ideas, and the ideas end up actually being more social entrepreneurial than for-profit, fully for-profit ideas. So the new generation that is coming, they're more sensitive towards social issues, and most of their ideas are social entrepreneurship ideas. That is what we realize.
And most of the time, people aren't even aware that sometimes an idea that they have is actually a social enterprise, essentially. But I guess that's because it's not necessarily something that they've either come across, and I guess that's why we're here to try and tell people that this is something that does exist, and there is another way of, starting a business and helping out while you're making money, because you still have to think about the bare necessities of things, and there's no one saying that you can't do two at the same time. Same question, I guess, to any of our other panelists, Michalis, Dimitra, if you have any views on that, or if you've had any experiences in seeing people wanting to shift towards social entrepreneurship. Would you like to say a few words about that?
One, if I may just add on this issue, I must confess that I was always very much afraid of the fact that I could see the statistics all over the world, that young people prefer to join multinational companies. It's easier, it's less risky, and they find it much easier. And I must confess that it was, again, those huge businesses that wanted employees, they were selecting and they were doing what we say as a brain drain. So the best of the young people were actually living in Cyprus. So we're left with the, I wouldn't say less intelligent, but I would say with less talent, maybe. But and I was always afraid of this. And so the moment that I saw the young people, and this was why I was actually trying to find a way out for young people, especially. Don't forget that when I started 20 years ago for social enterprises, I was relatively more younger than now. But nevertheless, what I'm saying is that you see that Cyprus keeps a relatively high percentage of people trying to do their own jobs, their own work. If you compare it with Germany, with Finland, with industrialized countries, you will see that we have this opportunity and we have this culture of trying. Although we avoid the risk, we are trying. So how can this be blamed? It's not, I will not continue. However, it's an amazing thing to feel free. You may ask Dimitra, Burak, Steven, and all those people that they are trying to do their own business. It's amazing to feel free. You can do your own. You have this possibility of every day thinking of issues and trying to accomplish them, and putting targets of your own and go with other friends and trying to accomplish them. This freedom is not something that you can find it in good big salaries and other very safe ways of operation and of work. So I'm really very happy and I feel very lucky that I have chosen this way forward, and I'm really hoping that with those young people here today, Dimitra, Burak, Stephen and others, we lead the way into new people entering the social enterprises and other entrepreneurial efforts. Okay, so for me, you cannot try to create a free country with people that are just queuing for a job. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michalis.
The political message.
Dimitra, indeed. Dimitra, you've actually worked with a lot of young people as well. What would you say about how they've been, I guess, warming to the idea of social entrepreneurship?
I totally agree with Mr. Michalis. I just wanted to quickly share a short story about how companies have been affected by the pandemic. My brother is an entrepreneur, and his company has been affected by the pandemic, and he was trying to find a new way to do something else, because he works mainly with the tourism sector, so he wanted to start doing something else immediately. And so we had a sort of brainstorming sessions, and he decided to help in a way out the local companies in our area. I forgot to mention that I live in a village. I come from a village. So he wanted to do something about this company, and he decided to offer some courier services from local shop, door-to-door services from local shops to the customer's door. So he asked for help, and because I have the IT skills, I helped him, and I created an e-shop, a website with all the products of the shops that are in our area. I contacted the companies in one day, almost all of them, because they're not a lot, and they were very happy to become a part of this initiative. So we are about to launch this e-shop within this week, and I believe that this is something that matches a lot with the motto of we support local companies, and I think in that way a lot of people and other young people can get inspired and do their own business and turn their business into a social enterprises. Indeed, I work a lot with a lot of young people, and what I believe is that it's more important to develop our own soft skills. I know that you have already mentioned a lot about soft skills and employability skills, and instead of developing other technical skills, it really doesn't matter if you don't know if you want to go for studies or what to study. What really matters is to develop your soft skills and being able to become a responsible human being. So I think that's the most important.
And I think a lot of young people, having lived through this lockdown, will better understand why it is important not to be profit driven, but to actually try and fix things as you're doing business, or try and be more environmentally conscious and trying to work more locally. With that, Michalis, a question for you primarily. So recent EU policies, market needs, how are these going to promote and challenge the advancement of social entrepreneurship? How do you think that's going to work?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Due to the fact that I'm actually working on the national plan for circular economy, I would urge everybody to go inside the EU platform website and check for the new Green Deal. Okay, in this Green Deal, it shows all the policies. They brought everything together and they created a very integrated package, but it's called Green Deal. In there is this circular economy. That means that what actually Dimitra is doing is trying to create a circle between the producers. So this, we actually advanced it through Green Network, and we brought, oops, okay. We brought together, I just lost you for one moment, sorry. So we brought together even people with waste to send it to others, and they are giving products. So we are going back many, many years. And from what I see now, European Union is actually giving quite a lot of funds and money. It will eventually on this respect. So to find a way to minimize the losses in natural resources. So this area is one huge area that will give opportunities for social enterprises through very good, I will give you a very good idea that are actually working now. All the carpenters of Cyprus, of South Cyprus, came together and they said, well, at this moment, the cost of each ton is 100 euros. So it's worth to make a social enterprise to do something with my waste. Others are doing similar things with energy issues. Others are doing similar things with air pollution and things like that. So they are finding common ways to avoid the problem. And because certain problems, and because the scale of the island is so small, they need somebody, a young, very enthusiastic person, to bring them all together and to tell them the way Dimitra did actually, come all together, let's do something together on a cluster basis. Now the cluster are being funded and they are going to be supported through legislation. So the European Union said to all the European countries, okay, you have to make your legislations to develop new legislation or reconstruct your previous legislation in a way that it will support those new ideas of circular economy. In order to do it in small scales, you cannot do it alone. So the moment that you say, I cannot do it alone, we don't have such big businesses, that moment comes the cluster idea, and the cluster idea can only be done in social enterprise mode. So I urge you to see these European legislations. We're talking about the North, but because I'm working with the North, with the technical, through the Technical Committee on Environment, we see that now we are pushing the European Union to bring down to the North new initiatives for social enterprises. You see INO, you see IDEA, you see many other efforts that are being made now by communal level, and I believe that clustering together, cooperating, will be the only way to make the legislation of the European Union to be implemented in a sustainable way. The scales are not, do not allow us to go each company doing its own issues and its own things. That's why I'm saying that the social enterprises, for me, it's the only way forward.
Would any of our other guests like to add to that? If not, we will move on with the next question, which I guess, you're right, Michalis. I mean, people need to become more aware that there is the support for social enterprises it's coming. And it would be an amazing opportunity to start early and start now so that when that help and support is there, that people can then benefit from it. A lot of people who we've had across our activities, full of ideas, many brilliant ideas. They will start, thinking about it, writing things down, and then something somehow doesn't necessarily go right, and either the idea is abandoned, or for one reason or another, people don't go through with it. So Burak and Stephen, and I guess everyone else, one of the questions I had was, what has your experience been in helping people, talking about ideas for enterprises or starting to build one? Where do people tend to get stuck, and why is it that they can't take that idea and go forward with it? What has your experience been? And this could be different for each of our guests. But Stephen, Burak, we'll start with you if you'd like.
Yeah, I think the common thread is that everyone thinks they need money to start, and when they don't have money, they don't go anywhere. When that's not necessarily the case. That whole concept you brought up of people putting ideas to paper and then just dropping off, that drop-off rate for entrepreneurship is very high. The retention rate's very low. And part of it is I need money. I need to wait for the proper legislation to come through, and this concept of just start seems to fall off the grid somewhere. And so sort of the biggest advice we tend to give out when someone has an idea and says, I need some money, or I need testing is good, but, or, I need some more time, just go for it. There's always something you could think of what you can do tomorrow that starts to get you going, so that you can at least test things out, you can gain some experience, and be ready for when that money comes or when that piece of legislation comes that you think might help you. And we always give very basic examples of this. If you're developing a product, you don't have it developed yet, you need the resources and money to do so, you can still start doing small things like building thought leadership, start an Instagram page, start building an audience, start posting articles where you talk about the space or the product itself. At least you can start building some traction to get your organization or your idea off the ground. So this is the big one. And then I think people get very distracted. It's why they have a million ideas on paper and they don't go for one of them. They want to sort of go big, big, big. I'll try to solve everything, tackle everything, but it's important to really focus and hone in on one thing and do it as best as you can, and then start to branch out and tackle other things that you want to do.
So mastering one thing or starting one thing and going ahead with it, see if you can actually go through with it, and if you can sort of bear the stress and the responsibility of that before branching out and doing anything else.
Yeah, and maybe in more business terms, your MVP, what's your minimum viable product? What's that one thing that you're going to master and test and prove before you start to build the bigger picture, instead of just rushing towards the finish line without, scaling up.
Words of wisdom right there. Burak, is there anything you would like to add to this?
Yeah, actually, this is something I learned on my own in the years by trying. Of course, they have their own character and their different, traits on what type of entrepreneur you are. But especially in social entrepreneurship, I think why we succeeded in Cyprus, is one of the big reasons is the team is the biggest thing that makes you succeed. I mean, the people that you work with. And the second one is your passion. Because I see also a lot of, ideation workshops. I was part of them 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and then, you say, oh, there's a great market opportunity. I'm going to do this business. I can make a lot of money and this and that. But especially also on social entrepreneur, if you're not passionate about what you're going to do, you're not going to do it. You won't be able to do it. Because if you need to work 25 hours a day, not 24, 25 hours a day, and you don't believe in it, you're going to give up. There's no way. If you're going to throw your rubbish on the floor, and then, I don't know, you don't care for the environment, there's no reason for you to start an environmental friendly company just because there's money in it. Because people will see it, especially in social enterprises, people will see your private life, they see what you believe in, what you do, and they'll combine you with it, and then you will perish, you will disappear. So I think it's hard. I think it's harder to find what you're passionate about and what you really want to work on than finding ideas. So if you can find that, I think it gets easier to succeed.
And hopefully later on, we're going to be hearing some ideas and seeing some business models where people actually are very passionate about the ideas that they develop. So let's just have that be a message to everyone, even if they're watching later on, that finding the passion is probably the most important thing to have from the get-go before thinking about any business model, I guess. Dimitra, Michalis, anything you would like to add?
I just wanted to ask, I'm not the expert, so I'm going to ask the guys if this is a good practice to do before you start implementing a new idea, is how about measuring the risk? So what I do, if I want to do something new, whatever it is I just take some time to myself and I write down what are the risks before I do the action.
Absolutely,
So
yeah. Anything you could do proactively to mitigate your risk will make you feel more comfortable, and will probably make you take those risks because you know what the scenarios are. Or as a best practice, write down your worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? And if you're okay with that, or if you have at least a plan for that, then you know that anything else can be better. And so you'll be more comfortable taking that risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was one of the things we covered in our introductory workshops as well, is that a lot of people see becoming an entrepreneur as a very high-risk thing, whereas the idea is to identify the risks, as you said, Dimitra, and then try and make them not be risks anymore. So you're setting yourself up for success, basically, rather than failure by doing that beforehand. I mean, and sometimes things will go wrong, but I guess if you're passionate about something and you have at least eliminated most of your risks, then it's gonna make you wanna go forward a lot easier and a lot better. With that, Dimitra, you mentioned when we were talking and writing back and forth that you're in the process of developing some educational materials, if I'm not mistaken, which actually revolves around social entrepreneurship as well. I was just wondering what some of the things you found out were, and if you'd like to share a few of those with us.
Yes, of course. I will just briefly describe the aims of this project that we're currently running. So we're working on 3 projects related to social entrepreneurship. The 2 of them are under the sector of school. So the aim is to develop, as you said, educational material for both the teachers and the students. So far, we conducted a survey in each partner country to identify the needs. And as you already know, there is a need, especially in Cyprus, because entrepreneurship is not a subject in our national curriculum. And then we're going to develop an e-learning platform to host this material, accompanied with some extra resources and activities for the students to give them the opportunity to implement their ideas. And we're going to use an innovative way to validate their skills. It's recommended by the European Commission. It's the ecosystem of open badges. So instead of giving them some traditional certificates, you can award the student with a digital badge, which can, of course, share this badge in their social media, LinkedIn, and so on. We're going to pilot this material and finalize the product based on the feedback that we will receive from the participants. And of course, publish the material for anyone who wishes to implement this social entrepreneurship program in their school or organization. Of course, for the teachers, since there is nothing official in our curriculum, if they're interested, they need to find the time, they need to squeeze these activities in the school time and give motivation to their students to implement such an ideas. You already know that in Cyprus we run the Junior Achiever Award program, which is a worldwide program. It gives the opportunity to students to work in a team and create a business model Canva. But this is nothing to do with the social entrepreneurship yet. And that's why what we recommend for those who are interested to learn about it is to find some time and give some motivation to those young people to develop this kind of skills, because it's not only about learning maths and physics and so on. As I said earlier, we have to develop our soft skills. And the other one, it's under the sector of adult and it's for the adult educators who work with adults with disabilities. In this one, there is another Cypriot partner, is Kέντρο Αμαία Άγιος Λάζαρος, is a center for people with disabilities. The aim is to produce a toolkit to help learners acquire entrepreneurial and digital skills in order to be able to enter the labor market. You already know that these people are in need and they need to feel confident, and they need to have the autonomy to work on their own, in their own pace. So this is one of the projects that I really love, and I'm looking forward for the results. I was impressed at the first time that I visited the Kέντρο Άγιος Λάζαρος, the Center for People with Disabilities, because I realized that social enterprise is utilized in this center. The people there make and sell their own crafts to support the financial status of the center, not for their own living. So they get the money to upgrade the infrastructure, to buy new equipment, and to get visibility and support from other people and the government as well. So yeah, this is what we're doing. And
just for one moment. All the others are our participants could hear you, Dimitra. I'm sure that you can identify that the second project is something that will go forward, because those people have incentive that they could go forward. On the contrary, 10 years ago, we tried the same with the teachers and in our site, Dimitra. And what we found out is that unfortunately, those projects are being lost because of the lack of incentive for the teachers. The way that they have accepted their lives is such that entrepreneurial ideas cannot be taught by them. In the way that the state of mind that I have created as a teacher does not allow me to transfer entrepreneurial enthusiasm into the others. And that's why we are discussing always with the political, let's say, responsible, the ministers, that you should bring people like Steven, Burak, and Dimitra to enter the schools and exactly bring the enthusiasm. Steven said from the beginning, and Burak, without enthusiasm, you cannot do it. Can you imagine a teacher with an enthusiasm in entrepreneurship? Not even as an imagination. It shouldn't pass your mind. So I'm just saying that, not to say that the teachers do not have the stamina to teach. I'm just saying that for this issue of entrepreneurship, if they had entrepreneurial mind, they wouldn't go to become teachers.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think you make it. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. That's why this project is not for everyone. That's why they have to show interest in order to get involved in this kind of project. I totally agree. I just wanted to add on this that we try to bring together the companies with the students, and some of the activities that we're currently implementing is some virtual trips. This is how we call these activities, and the aim is to show to the students how an enterprise is, and if they're interested, they can go for it. But it's not so theoretical, let's say, this type of material. It's more practical and more virtual.
Maybe, Michalis, at some point, it might be a good idea to, you know, if it's the younger generation that's trying to be exposed to social entrepreneurship, I guess, to collect teachers who are enthusiastic, who are meant for, you know, actually instilling that passion that which is the starting point of how you initiate ideas and go for it. I agree that it may not be for everyone, but it is disheartening to know that in such an important time in a child's life that they're faced with no, you can't, no, we can't go through with this, you know, just leave it, put it aside and forget about it, that sort of thing. But one of the things that always sort of amazed me is that in Cyprus, the concept of summer school doesn't seem, I don't think it exists. I'm not sure if I've been out of school for a very, very long time. I know in university it does, but maybe there could be like a social enterprise summer camp, I guess.
You're absolutely
you know,
right, Janet. It's a social enterprise per se. What you are saying is a group of people to come together and to say, now bring in your children with 100, with 200 euros, okay? And we will have every year this. I have the plot. You can use it, okay? You can put tents, and you can bring young youth to learn about social enterprise and to live with people that they are doing exactly this. Because the thing I remember that at Imperial College, the teachers themselves, the professors, were saying, I cannot teach you to be entrepreneurial in environmental issues. I will bring from outside people that they are actually practicing entrepreneurial activities with environment. That's why I'm so frustrated, because we believe that having this mentality that is not entrepreneurial, I can teach entrepreneurial psychology. No, because already Stephen and Burak said that from its knowledge is 1/5, 20% of the success. 80% of the success is the stamina and the mentality and the state of mind. 80%, the others you can learn. Okay, and all this that we are doing, the canvases and the others, are tools for those 20%, for this 20%. The others is the personality and the stamina that you have inside of you, because you will need, as Burak said, 25 hours. And you will need to work for a year, actually 2 years, without money, until you get your business on the track. And then you can enjoy the fruits of this effort.
I guess that's why it's important that you have a good support system and a good team behind you, so that you can manage to do that.
It's why Ino is here. It's why all those efforts are being made to at least mitigate, minimize this discouragement that maybe they will need after, they will feel, the social entrepreneurial will feel after 4 or 5 months that he doesn't get money in his hands, and after, just to keep him going, because at the end, if he has the stamina, I've never seen someone to fail. If he had the stamina to stay alive as much as it needs for his idea, because there are easy ideas, like the one with Dimitra. Dimitra just gave us this idea with her brother. So she will go, she will get the products from the producer and bring it. So the first moment that he will do that, he will get the money back in his pockets. So the risk is so low in this effort, and the impact is so huge, because they will help the producer to bring, without intermediates, the product to the client. So this is amazing, and this is what we are doing, and we saw that the outcome and the impact is huge. It's huge. However, the risk is low. But there are other issues, like the one that you said about, now that we will check for the canvas that they have proposed for, let's say, training places. So you need to convince people, to bring the youth to. So this could take 5 months, 6 months. So you have to have the courage to remain and to be firm as per the possibility of this effort to succeed.
I believe Burak or Stephen, I don't know who, but someone was about to say something. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Very quick point, just for the group to know that this isn't even all anecdotal. At least in the South, there's actually strong data in the GM report, the national report, that shows that total early stage entrepreneurship in Cyprus is down year over year, and is currently one of the lowest in the EU. And part of that, if we ask why, we get to the root that it stems from this, not just the education, but the culture, the mentality around risk and what's an acceptable profession and all that. But if we think outside of teaching entrepreneurial skills, there's things that you can teach in the curriculum that are tangential to entrepreneurship but aren't actual business skills, things like creativity and thinking outside the box and challenging things. This way you build a mindset where when these young people approach problems and challenges in their life and in the world, they're starting to think like entrepreneurs. And that's sort of how we can build that culture.
Very good thing to keep in mind. We only have 1 minute before we're going into our Q&A session, but I guess this is a bit like a Q&A session. So this is an open question to whoever would like to take it. So we have a lot of interest. We've had a lot of interest in our introductory and advanced workshop from international students who are very enthusiastic about either starting their own business or collaborating or doing something that's going to be beneficial to society, to the environment, and this is just a question to maybe clarify or get some advice from you while we have you here. So the question is, I mean, you're all practicing what you preach, right? You're saying that business and social enterprise can make communities better. It can bring people together. Collaboration is the way to go. So the question is, what would you say? Would you say that the same would apply for communities living in close proximity, but who often experience being othered? So due to racism, sexism, ageism, even, if you're children or if you're young and you're trying to go out there and do something and you're faced with all these old people who are used to the traditional way of doing things, or students from international students who want to collaborate with Cypriot entrepreneurs or Cypriot businesses who often get turned down. What would your advice be to them?
I think there's two ways to look at this type of approach, especially when it comes to sort of prejudice and racism and all that, and inclusion and entrepreneurship. The first is actual solutions that tackle it head on. I don't know examples here, but if I can give some examples from back in the US or Latin America, where the racial divide is still very, very strong up until even today. People build solutions that their purpose is to be more inclusive of the environment around them. For example, we see, if you look at unemployment stats, almost always there's a racial divide in unemployment. Minority groups have higher unemployment rates than majority groups. And there are businesses people build around that to increase employability of minority groups. Fundraising is also lower. There's prejudice in fundraising when it comes to female entrepreneurs, when it comes to minority entrepreneurs. And so there are people who've built platforms to tackle that head on and offer funding opportunities for those specific groups. The other side of this is to be all inclusive, and it's what Michalis mentioned at the very beginning of this, that social entrepreneurship, we have to collaborate, we have to bring everyone together. And so there's a lot of opportunities to participate in things and to meet people, and networking events are a good place for that. Be open to offering your time. People should and probably will take you up on it. But I think as organizations, our organizations, other organizations, we probably also need to do a better job of collaborating with each other and creating open forums where everyone can participate. And I think what we need to do is probably take a step back and push the concept of diversity of thought. Everything is better when you have very diverse thought in the room. And that comes from having people from all different backgrounds, all different genders, ages, and all that sort of thing. So if we can push collectively as a group here, everyone, the clear benefits of diversity of thought will open up a lot of doors for having a very, very inclusive, innovative ecosystem.
And I think one of the things that I think all of you have touched upon is that, it's social entrepreneurship isn't something that you can just learn. There's no textbook way of doing it, and everyone's passion if we have passion as the main ingredient from the get-go, my belief is that everyone is very different, has a different set of skills, a different set of experiences. You know, everyone has a story to tell, and I think that story has the potential to lead to something that would spark interest and gain attraction from no matter where you are. It's just a matter of finding your niche in a way, if that makes sense. There are a lot of examples of. Oh, sorry, Michalis, were you saying something?
No, I thought that you finished, but it was a delay. Okay, just to say, just to remind what Stephen said at the end, which we used, and it's working amazingly good. It's the diversity of the team. So if you want to go out and you want to show that you have old people, you have young people, you have black, yellow, red, it doesn't matter. The more diversified the team that you are proposing, that you are bringing in front, it is, the more inclusive your effort will be. Because you are absolutely right, Stephen, that when you go out and you reach people, society, because this is why you are talking about social enterprise, huh? When you reach society, they all want to see their own people and their own kind in this team. If they see somebody that they trust, they will go for it because they know that they have somebody that represents this team of people in the effort that they are supporting. Otherwise, yes, the people tend to be, as you said, to give preferences in certain age, certain type. So the answer from my point of view to the question is that if you want to avoid those problems, since you are targeting society, try to bring inside the nucleus of your team, as many diverse kind of people as possible. We tried it, it worked.
Thank you, Michalis. Dimitra, would you like to add anything before we go over to the Q&A session? By the way, if anyone has any questions that they've either been too immersed in in what we've been saying and hasn't had time to write their question, please feel free to do so right now in the questions section. Dimitra, is there anything that you would like to add to this issue? Anything that you maybe experienced or seen? Especially in like the school environment or working with the center. I forget the name of
Emphasis.
No, with the disabilities, center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any stories from there perhaps that may either inspire people to not let others knock them down or prevent them from going forward?
I just wanted to add that although I'm a Cypriot and I live in this island, I think that people need to just start thinking out of the box and do not stuck in this kind of barriers, which are not barriers, of course. And what we need to develop as the citizens in this island is the socio-emotional skill. We need to start thinking and start seeing the good in anything and start doing things without being so, how we say that, ethnicistes.
Nationalists.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dimitra.
One other thing.
Just one moment. Just to say that one of our culture problem, it's a culture problem, it's a handicap actually. It's that we haven't exercised the teamwork. I mean, if you compare the other countries in the north with us, we have this problem. So in the social enterprise, this skill of teamwork should be in a very high level. And this is something that all the people that are listening to us at this moment, they should understand that by yourself, you cannot do something that is socially oriented. Huh? So have in mind that at Trodos, okay, we managed to gather 100 people, okay, and we put from 500 euros, okay, so we had 50,000 euros in our hand to start working on several projects. It was a miracle. It was an amazing thing. And we stood all together, and the outcome was amazing. We don't show it because we wanted just to give it to the public, but it's something that it was amazing. So we all have friends, we all have families, we all have Cypriots are so social. Why can't we bring people together to work on a certain cause? Because social enterprises has cost. So this is cost oriented, okay? So I believe that our society would be perfect. If Swedish can do social enterprises, that they only know 5 or 10 people each, why can't we go forward? Sorry, I'm just saying that to give an example, an extreme example. However, go into the Facebook of each Cypriot. If you can find less than 1 or 2,000 friends, it's difficult. Why can't we bring them together and do something beautiful?
Well said, Michalis. Hopefully we don't have anyone from Sweden in our...
I really love them. I'm cooperating with them. It's my beloved country. And that's why I'm saying that if they can accomplish so much with social enterprises, why can't we?
I'm sure it was said with love in every way possible. I'm just gonna see if we don't seem to be having any questions from our listeners. So I'm just double checking to see. If not, I know, Stephen, that you have a previous engagement, so we will be saying goodbye to Stephen soon. But we thank you so much for joining us for our panel and contributing.
Thank you.
And we will be sharing the link with you as well, of course, once we upload it. But thank you on behalf of the entire team, and I'm sure our listeners as well. And we wish you a pleasant day and have a good weekend in advance.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for allowing me to participate. It was good to see the Go Social team again. Really enjoyed the workshop back in the pre-pandemic era, so I'm glad we're able to keep the conversation going digitally. I'm looking forward to reading through everyone's business models here, and if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, feel free to share my contact information. I'd be happy to support in any way I can.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. See you all soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so if we don't have, I'm just checking through the chat here because Dimitra and I are chatting away with any question developments. And we seem to have one, yes.
Just to say before we proceed with the question, just because Stephen left the room, and I was just wanted to say that as Cypriots, for people that are now listening to this webinar, we should understand the handicaps that we have out of our culture, out of our system of education. And what Stephen said coming from America is that what she found in Cyprus is that the system per se, the educational system, is actually creating this handicap of criticism and of ideas. And this is true. We just learn how to import data, not to really evaluate and be able to, for creative criticism. This is something that the European Union has actually sent official letter that we lack this ability in Cyprus. So keep it in mind that the reason that we see such low numbers of social enterprises, it's not because Cypriot has something on their mind, it's because we were not taught to do to work like that. On my 35th years of age, and I had panic attacks because my mind couldn't absorb the risk of the new business I was bringing in front. So you can see that inside of us, we have this risk management chip that is not working in a good way. Believe me, and I'm telling you because I had all this push to go into the government, because I had the place, and I quit. I quit from 5,000 euros a month. I'm telling you that not to tell me, congratulations, but because I did it, and after that, I felt so good. So if you manage, you go outside, you do your own enterprise, you fall, you stand up again, you fall again, and then you get used to finding what the problems are and to tackle them and to go on. At the end, you end up with businesses, good results, and you have this good feeling that you have created something out of yourself. And this is something that I can see in Dimitra and Burak and Steven and in so many other young people, that they have decided that they could do it. So cooperate and do it.
On the other hand, sorry, I just wanted to add that
Sure.
Not everyone, but the most of entrepreneurs nowadays are people who their parents are entrepreneurs, and that's why they have these entrepreneurial skills, not from school, of course, but because they've seen their parents having their own business and being independent.
But I managed it without having parents in the private sector, and this is why I was drinking pills for 2 years in order to go beyond my panic attacks. Okay, just I'm telling you that because it's easy to do it if you believe in yourself.
And I guess it would be good to transition into our question, which is actually quite relevant. Someone who may not have had that example to go by might also be having legitimate worries. And the question is as follows. I always worry about the investment of my idea. Is there any helpful suggestions about those worries? I always worry about if people will trust my idea during the investment. So a worry that is perhaps too close to heart, Michalis. Any advice regarding worries for investment?
Actually, at this moment, I'm volunteer in 3 organizations in Cyprus that are going to give money to tackle the so-called seed money that are usually the reason for not going forward. So this risk of losing money at the beginning of your effort, or losing time, or you have at this moment, you get engaged, you know that your wife is pregnant, you say, okay, I have to keep the money, minimizing the risk generally, because on your 25th to 30 years old, that you are really if you have the stamina, at this moment you have also all those problems, obstacles in the sense of being free to risk. So you have all these obstacles for risk, actually that's why you need to be assisted a bit. The easy way forward, and I can find it now in our side, is to go and cooperate with businesses that they want to make changes, and you see that you can assist them to make this, and so you cooperate with them to make a very good startup or something like that. I believe that either you start by your own, or you minimize the risk through many people sharing the risk, which I told you before, 500 euros. What is the risk of 500 euros? 0. Okay. Or you try to convince your family and friends, or you go and you assist, you cooperate with companies that are really, they want the risk. They want to do something with their money, to their extra money, and they see that your idea is very good, and they give you the needed money, and you don't have to put out of pocket for your expenses. I think that Burak and Dimitra can also share their thoughts.
Absolutely. If you have any views regarding these addressing worries during investment, or worrying that people are not going to want to invest, what would your advice be? We'll start with you, Dimitra.
I think if you are able to identify the real need and if you see the opportunity there, there is nothing that you have to be afraid of. If you have well developed the skill of curiosity and you are always trying to learn new things and do a proper research in order to be able and be confident that there is a need there and there is a gap that I can fill in, then you will be more confident to go for it. And I'm pretty sure that even if you collaborate or if you try to find, because there are a lot of fundings of initiatives that have a social value, the things will be easier for you and you will be able to implement your idea. But at the very beginning, what I recommend to people is to do a very good research and find ways to being able to identify the gap and the need.
Burak, anything you would like to add?
Yes, sure. But I just want to clarify, is it the risk of finding investment or a risk of somebody stealing your idea while trying to find investment?
I think it has more along, well, let me just reread that. Trust my idea. I guess it has to do with the people putting in the money for the idea, like whether the person presenting the idea will do a good job and will ensure that they will believe in their idea and they would want to invest in their idea. I guess that's what the worry is.
So as far as I know from investors around me, the people I met or people who raise investment, it comes to the same thing with passion. If you believe in your idea, they will believe in your idea. If you don't believe your idea and you fake it, they will feel it, because these people will be people who are investing and they're meeting many people like you who are going to present to them. And if they already being accepted to come there and listen to you, that means they saw something in you and they wanted to hear more, or somebody recommended you that thought that it works. And the second thing is that I think don't try to reach investors in very early stage. Start, prove yourself, have your MVP, have your customers, 5, 10, 100, whatever you can based on the market you're trying to operate in, but have something proven. And then the investors will invest in you to see that what you're going to do with their money and how that's going to be multiplying your customers at the end, because it's about making money. You make more money by using somebody else's money, and at the end they're going to get their share out of it with much more interest. So that's what it's about. That's what I think.
If I may just
one
word for Burak. He's right.
We're going to have to go a bit quickly because we're now going into the presentation time and we have 2 more questions. So if I may transition
just one minute. This with money,
sure.
This is something that through social enterprise and giving your own money, putting your own money, it's something that usually you avoid the need to show more and more profit every year. So I can understand the question, and I must confess that you could avoid the business angels and the people that are going to give you the money through allowing yourself a certain risk.
Thank you. Our next question, and we'll try and be a bit, there we go. I guess we'll leave them till the end. So the last 2 questions that we have, we'll do another Q&A right at the end, but we're gonna transition into the presentations for the social enterprise ideas. I believe at 5:30, Dimitra, you also have a previous arrangement that you're gonna need to attend. So we would like you to be here for the business canvas models. And with that, I'm going to hand the microphone and the screen over to Cansu, talking about our first idea. Cansu, go ahead. All yours.
Hi,
hello.
Everyone. Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent. Eager to hear about how your weekend was, how you spent your Saturday.
It was fine. I a little bit work on my business idea. There were 2 ideas of mine. One was my idea, and another was work with a group. So I was a little bit busy with those ideas.
We appreciate the efforts. Can't wait.
Okay. So I named my business Go Share Secondhand Shop. It's basically a shop where secondhand products are sold and where unemployed women is integrated into workforce, and some of the revenue is funded for people in need, especially to the refugees. Women will be the majority of the employees in this business, but we will also need men for some hard work, like for carrying furniture, like for fixing stuff, repairment stuff, etc. So I don't want it to be a sexist business. So yeah, I will start explaining the blocks one by one. Type of intervention. We're planning to provide employment and integrate women, unemployed women into workforce. And by selling secondhand products, we're aiming to reduce carbon footprint. As we all know that production of new products releases CO2 into the atmosphere and cause pollution and enhance global warming. Key activities, of course, employment of unemployed women, also men will be employed, collection and sales of donated secondhand products, and funding people, fundraising and funding people in need. Key resources. We will need staff who will be working in this shop. We will need a big shop or even a warehouse works for that. A website for sales, for volunteering application, for fundraising and donations. We will need collection and delivery equipment and vehicles. I was thinking to put big stalls in front of shops for people to come and bring their smaller secondhand products. For the bigger ones, we will need to go and get them. We will need volunteers to work in the shop, and we will need EU funding to start up the business. Users and beneficiaries will be unemployed women and men, people in need, refugees, volunteers. I was thinking elders, pensioners and youth to volunteer in this shop, and the local community. Value proposition for each of the users. Of course, we will supply employment for unemployed. We will fund people in need. Volunteers will find chance to socialize with others, especially the pensioners and the elders, and also youth. This will help them to build moral values. For the local community, they will find chance to contribute to a more sustainable environment and make difference for people in need. Our customers will be university students, especially the newcomers, and the local community. So they will buy cheaper products while contributing, while reducing environmental footprint. The partners will be employment office. They'll help us to find people to work in the shop. High school clubs, university clubs, they'll supply us students, volunteer students for the volunteer activities. Refugee Rights Association, they may help us to distribute funds among the refugees and the supporters, donors, volunteers, and EU Commission for funding our business. Channels, Employment Office, Refugee Rights Association, universities, high schools, their clubs, website and promotions. Cost structure, we will spend money on the salaries, collection equipment, vehicle maybe, website and promotion actions. Revenue streams, we will get money from second-hand sales, from donations, from EU funds and voluntary participation. The surplus will be spent on more equipment for the renovation of the shop, for vehicles of the delivery. And lastly, impact measures, amount of money raised and funded, number of people employed, and number of people volunteered in the shop. That's all.
Thank you very much, Cansu.
Thank you.
Michalis, would you like to start with the feedback or any questions at all regarding the business? And please do bear in mind to our panel guests that this is an exercise. Cansu is a teacher. She's a teacher in Famagusta at a local high school and secondary school. And this is basically an idea that she did in addition to mentoring. So it was meant to be a great exercise to start thinking of what the basic foundational steps would be to starting a social enterprise. I'm smiling because as a student across over many years, I've spent many a time in secondhand shops, and I would just love it if there was a secondhand shop here that was also doing social good. Cansu, we seem to have, I'm not sure if it's just with me, but your camera seems to have frozen, but we can still hear you. We can hear you fine. So any questions that you may have for Cansu, and if not, we can proceed with feedback. So panelists, who would like to go first?
Yeah, just if I may say something first. It shows that there are teachers, that there are entrepreneurial, and so by saying that, she has already proved me wrong. And you're absolutely right. I'm working at this moment with several people in the school that they are amazing, and usually they are young people that they manage to keep their enthusiasm and courage. The system is actually not assisting at all. So if I may say something, in the south, there is a group of women which I'm actually very fond of, and they are called Alkyonides, and they are doing exactly that. And I could bring you in touch with them. They are amazing. It's a social enterprise, and they are so beloved by the society that their capacity is they have overcapacity. I mean, they have so many second-hand things that they are given to them. So I may say that it's one of the most fantastic ideas that I'm 100% that if you find the right group and you work on it, it will 100% work. I mean, it's one of the things that the risk is amazingly low and the potential for success is amazingly high. However, I must confess that it's first come, first serve. What I mean by that, the moment that you do it, many others will go and do the same thing. It's one of our cares in Cypriot culture. And so at the end, it's something that you have to do instantly. When I say in the next 2 years, do it. Because this is an idea that many people are thinking of, but nobody goes forward. So I'm sure that if you manage to find your friends, to put them in a team and do it, one of the things that I saw from Alkyonides is that they found second-hand cars, vehicles, and volunteers at the beginning, that they were so cheap that actually they didn't even, in some companies gave them these trucks, and they were supported at the beginning for transferring the second-hand goods through existing companies that they just wanted to assist. So with almost no money, they started, and at this moment they have more than 10 cars that are moving around Cyprus, taking the second-hand goods, and it's amazing. So please be encouraged to do it. And we will help you as much as we can from our side. Okay.
Thank you so much.
We actually have a question for Cansu from our listeners. So what kind of secondhand products are you targeting? Are these household items, or I guess white goods as they
actually, I have everything in my mind: furniture, toys, clothes, kitchen utensils, everything.
So household products, essentially.
Yes.
I love it. I'm there. Do we have any comments or questions from Dimitra, Burak? Anything to add?
You are muted.
Dimitra, I believe you're you might be muted for some reason.
We need an IT, Dimitra.
Yeah, I have a suggestion to make, but I wanted to clarify whether you have also mentioned clothes and shoes.
Yeah, clothes as well.
Okay, so I'll recommend you to start a campaign against fast fashion. Before you start,
in my mind.
okay, yeah. So you have to inform people about this and how can we reduce our fashion environmental impact? Because it's in our culture we tend to buy new things all the time. I used to do the same. So if they don't know, they won't be able to understand the idea. So it's yeah, you already said that you are planning to do that. Yeah, start with a campaign. You may have to run this campaign for a couple of months before to start working on this second shop.
And Burak, any comments, or what if someone came up to you, knocked on your door and said, I have this idea, like, what do you think? How do I go ahead? What would you say?
I mean, I'm sorry again, I missed the beginning of it. There was a broken glass I had to go and check, but I wouldn't like to comment a lot because I didn't hear fully. But if it was like idea like this and somebody comes directly for a secondhand shop, especially in North, I would say go for it. I know a lot of people in Lapithos. There is a secondhand market. A lot of people go there. Many people go and sell their stuff there. But you never know when it's going to happen. And if it's raining, it doesn't happen. So having a shop where people can go and see, and I always watch this Pawn Stars on National in History Channel, now on Facebook. I mean, I love it. You might find so many great stuff. And I also see that there's too many secondhand shops in the south and not in the north. Like if you walk in Lidras, it's everywhere, also in the little streets. That means that there is business, there is opportunity, the culture is the same. So I believe it can happen.
And Dimitra also
one proposition which will may assist a lot, Cansu. The municipalities at this moment, they have great need of things like that. So the local authorities, they may give you a huge place, a place where you could have the so-called flea markets or things like that. Actually, they came to me from our side and they were asking to be assisted for flea markets. So if you go now in the north and you tell the municipalities or the other local area that please give me an area, a place, and we can really make this happen. So you could have the places, the permanent places, as Burak said, but also you could make once a month to each area these flea markets. And it seems that in all the places of the world, it works perfectly, and it's a social thing as well, because we're talking about social. So you can see people coming, discussing, drinking coffees. It's like a panegyri, festivity. So this bringing people as well, and this will mean that also you will have so it's an advertisement, free advertisement from one mouth to mouth. In Cyprus, it works a lot. Mouth to mouth, they will come and they will see that every time you have more and more people coming to even to admire, even to watch. Okay.
And perhaps if we have more suggestions for this particular idea, we can collect these and then send them over to you, Jamsu, to reflect upon for later. We've actually had someone from the audience writing and saying, nice presentation, you should go for it. So there you go. Thank you so much for presenting, Jamsu.
Thank you.
And I believe we'll be seeing you with another idea shortly.
Yeah.
But let's move on to our second idea, which is home. And Sammy's going to be presenting. So let's get Sammy up on the screen. Hi, Sammy. Is your microphone working? Can you give us a shout out? Your microphone is not working. Maybe it is muted. Let's see if it was working earlier. So.
Hello, Sammy, do you hear us?
Hi. I think she can hear. Yes, there we go. Sammy, it's all yours. Let's not take any more of your time.
Hello, Social. How are you guys?
Third t-shirts. Hopefully we're gonna be able to get everyone one of those t-shirts as well. We won't keep you, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to present an idea by someone else. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. The idea's name is Home. It's going to be a wellness center. And I think it's a very clever name because Om is the word most associated with meditation. She wants to provide free services for people in need through social services. She wants to include newly graduated students by providing them a place where they can volunteer. She will also offer multiple services to her community. So her interventions will include yoga, mindfulness, psychotherapy, nutritional counseling, and massage. Her key activities will include yoga classes, mindfulness exercises, meditation and breathwork, psychotherapy sessions, dietary services, for example, accommodation for specific dietary needs, massage therapy, free packages for people who cannot afford to go to a wellness center. I should point out that Sila really cares about removing the idea that taking care of yourself is a luxury. The idea that things like yoga and therapy sessions are a luxury. She wants to remove that. The key resources that she will need are a team, funding, housing, which she has, but she needs to renovate, electricity, water, internet, other housing resources, and of course, the most essential, human resources. Her benefactors will be her local community, newly graduated youth, people with trauma, and people without the resources to access a wellness center. Her customers will be the local community. The value proposition will be self-care, health maintenance, healing, and self-care is not a luxury, also holistic benefits. The customer's value will be mind and body services. Her partners and stakeholders will be social services because she wants to work with them so that they can provide her with the people who might need these kind of services. Small business funding, and also she will need volunteers. Her channels will be many. She's going to use social media. She's also going to put up as many things as she can for free on YouTube, which is good. Because she's going to be collaborating with the governmental entities and social services. If she gets acknowledgements from them, or if they tell people that there is a wellness center available that can help you. So that's a good way to advertise your business. Also verbal advertisements, website, flyers, brochures, posters. Her costs are going to include paying for the website, a domain. She has to pay her staff. She'll have to pay for renovations, and she'll also have a lot of bills. Her revenue streams will include sales and her voluntary participation. She's going to measure the impact of her social business by the number of volunteers, the number of clients, and also by the amount of funds provided for the small business loan. Her surplus is mostly going to cover the charges that she provides to people for free. So her benefactory packages. She's going to allow people to have packages for free. So she's going to use the surplus to cover those charges and also for staff payments. That's it. Thank you.
I'm impressed at how you did that with only one breath.
That's Sammy.
That's
I'm
Sammy.
so happy to see you again, Sammy.
Me too. I miss you.
Okay, let's remember that there's others on the panel here who might be feeling a little left out. Thoughts and opinions. Where shall we start? So essentially we have an online, I'm guessing this is an online service that's going to be putting up videos. Is there also going to be like things that happen within a particular center? Of course, I mean the massages and everything.
She has a center. She's going to have, yeah.
So there will be classes as well as online content that's going to be developed. So yes. Something that I guess people who've been looking at yoga videos and on YouTube or social media, it's that, but as a devised into the model of a social enterprise. Any comments from our panel members? And I will check comments to see.
Question to you, Sami. She has let's say she's trained to do yoga or the dietary services. Yes, she's
a yoga teacher. Yeah, she is, and she also has her mom is the psychotherapist. So 2 human resources are done.
No, from my point of view, it's a great idea. You cannot, I mean, again, the risk is very low. I believe that it could work perfectly. And actually, I know that many people would really want to become part of a club, of a society, if I may say, that they would have meetings, even through the website, even through the internet. And it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I don't have any reason to believe that it wouldn't work. What I would just urge your friend and you, I believe that you will be involved, of course, as usual. No?
I have no idea.
But try to do it in a more societal way. What do I mean? Every month, gather them all in one nice park of the area, discuss things, give them the opportunity to go and pick them up from their houses and escort them. So created a kind of a society, because I've seen this in my life and it worked perfectly, and it's a real societal need. And in Cyprus, we don't have this. In the old times, we had the white woman that usually in an area, in a village, they were gathering the friends, the women in the area, and others, of course, and they were discussing, they were solving problems, they were meditating in their own way in the old times. Okay, and nowadays I can see from my friends that we don't have this service. It's more professional, so you just go there, you pay 50 euros and you get your massage or whatever. It's not societal oriented. Thank you.
She lives in Lefkosia, so we discussed this, and she really wants to provide a service for the community. So I think she has these ideas in her head that she's going to basically create a community around her wellness center, that people will know that she will allow them to use the services for free if they really need them. So I think that's why I told her that it can be categorized. She wasn't sure if this is a social enterprise, but I think it is.
You can turn it into a social enterprise. I mean, the way that I see it, it can easily be turned into a social enterprise, because if during the class she has, let's say, 50% people that they are paying, and the others around through the internet, being able to, and through free packages that they can really be benefited by her class, then it can become easily a social enterprise.
Okay, I will tell her.
Any other comments or feedback?
One short thing, very short thing. I'm not muted, right? Yeah. You know, one thing I see that I would like to see, I think it's great. We need more self-care more than ever, especially now being locked at homes, even partially. But I would work a bit more on the value proposition, and then think of it in a way that if I am providing the services and there's somebody else providing the same services, and if we put the values we're both creating, there might be similar in what you wrote there, but what is unique? What is the unique value proposition that you would create that will help you attract? I mean, this is what needs a bit more work. I'll be happy to help if you guys want to work on it later on finding this, because you have a lot of focus. You have yoga classes, you have psychotherapy. People might want to be more anonymous in those and might not to be related to other classes. There's also online, there's physical, but like one is that the unique value proposition and the MVP. So if you're going to create a website and put a lot of money in, etc., if you were about to start this tomorrow, what would be the first thing you do, and what is the first value you would like to create? I would think a bit in that way.
Dimitra, anything that you would like to add, or you're happy with this as it is?
Oh, we have covered
Excellent.
everything, so yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
May I say something just for Dimitra? Dimitra, in all of these things, I can see tremendous possibility and challenge for IT support. Because you are doing this, I can see that in all those things, the support of this for IT, from the IT perspective is needed. It's really a very important part. Yes.
Indeed, but hopefully nowadays the things get easier with the IT thing. So if you want to build the website, you don't have to know how to code. There are a lot of ready templates that you can build a website in a day. Of course, I'll be more than happy to support any of you guys to build your own website or platform for free. Of course, this is what we do with the people there. So if you need any kind of help with the IT things that you are on, just let us know. But there is nothing to afraid about it. I mean, things are getting easier and easier with the IT nowadays. So yeah, that was a very good point. Sorry?
Especially if you are an IT. This is what everybody tells us.
Believe me, my brother, he's an agriculture scientist, and he managed to build a website for his business.
How old is he?
It's 26.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you as well. We'll swiftly move on to the third idea. Thank you, Sammy. I just read everything. Thank you so much for presenting that idea to us. And we will now move on to the third idea, which is the Cyprus Economic Center, and is going to be presented by Emmanuel. We were earlier having some issues with video and sound, but let's see if we can hear you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, can you give us a hello or a hey? Is your microphone unmuted? Okay. Hello? This took some time.
Emmanuel is currently self-muted, so I would ask him to
Emmanuel, if you want to go to your device that has your microphone connected and unmute, it is the one right on top of the camera button and underneath the red arrow on your sidebar of the program.
Yes, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes. So I don't think we'll be able to see you, but we can hear you quite well. And we can obviously see the presentation on your screen as well. So whenever you're ready, go for it.
Yeah, good afternoon, panelists. My name is Emmanuel Udochukwu. I'm presenting on the local development of designated areas. Please, my slide, please. You can see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Basically, during our meetings, we had a lot of discussions about the whole thing, and we saw some gaps in the system that we felt we could do something about, and we came up with some basic agreements within ourselves. A minute, please. I really can't see anything on my screen.
You should be seeing it with, where would it be under? Do you see the videos on top?
Yes, but I only, okay, yeah, no, it's there. Thank you.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Basically, the type of intervention includes improving local economy, promotion of digital transformation, creating competitive Cyprus market in terms of goods and services. The activities, key activities involve in creating friendlier public policy for foreign investors, encouraging foreign businesses, encouraging intellectual businesses, and business setup support, reduce tax system, encourage public partnership relationship, educate the youth about policies. And the key resources will be the website, seed funding, educational materials, the teamwork, the team dream team, the office support space. Excuse me. Then okay, the proportion value of beneficiaries, more employment opportunities and skill acquisition, improve welfare, more tax revenue and improve economy, friendly public and economic policies for favorable tax system, internship and employment opportunities. Now the key sponsorship now is local mayors, the lawyers, the chambers of commerce, the technocrat and techno companies, volunteer economic analysis, educational institutions. Who are the beneficiaries? The local citizens, the local communities, the local authorities, the foreigners, and the new graduates. Now, the reason for this is this: we observe over a long period of time that we have more foreign students in Cyprus who come to school in Cyprus, and after they are done schooling, they are off, which means they came to acquire knowledge and they go with the knowledge, bringing about the brain drain. Looking about the population of Cyprus, we have more of younger people in Cyprus who are actually foreigners. Now they come to learn different skills, come to learn different fields. They have different knowledge, they have different skills and technical abilities. But once they are, when they are done with their schoolings, off they go. Now, what are the channels to get this done? Now, the website, the school and university, the media channels, seminar and symposium. Now, what are the impact measures? Now, improve technology, increase in standard of living, reduce cost of living, increase healthy business competition, participating individuals, more funds and provided. Now, basically, the reason for all this is that we want to observe within a short time that most Cyprus citizens are a bit insecure with foreigners because they feel these people cannot be trusted. But I think based on that line, they will have to come in and educate them that every foreigner cannot be the same thing. Now there are means through which you can get these people, and there are means which your economy can be enhanced. Now this is actually one of the purposes why this came up, basically in the sense that for any economy to strive, you need investment. So, and most foreign students or most foreigners here are just here doing nothing because they feel the system or the policies do not encourage it. For instance, look at you can't see my hair actually. My hair are all well grown. The reason being that I couldn't cut my hair because during the pandemic, the whole shops were locked down. There was no salon to cut my hair. Now, if we had foreigners who can do all these things, we can actually give them a call. Please, can you come to the house to do it? Now, because they're also scared of, the policy will not allow me to do such a thing. So I have all my hair bushy and all grown up. There's no way I could cut it. Salons are not working. Nothing is working, and being handicapped. All in the name of the pandemic that has caused so much impact. Now, second point is this: the issue of the transport system also has been of major lapse because I can't go to places when I want to, because I don't have a card that can convey me there. When I call a cab person, it tells me I'm in Maguza, I can't come until 8 o'clock. But when we have a system of technology that can put all these things, integrate all these things together, it becomes very easier. And I think it's something that needs to be worked on. Now, another point I want to make is this: when graduates come to Cyprus, because we have a lot of graduates that come to Cyprus, they come to learn mechanical engineering, they come to learn medicine, they come to learn different skills, and when they are done, they are gone, which means there's no avenue for them to actually practicalize what they have learned in the school. Now, through this business model, we're trying to create an avenue whereby this newly graduated student can actually also exhibit the things they've learned in the system, thereby increasing the economy of Cyprus, not just for the locals, but for both the foreigners and the locals. Now, this alone also brings about economic development. Now, I want to go very quickly. Now, who are our customers? One, we have foreign investors and we have local investors. Now, economy cannot grow without investors, both local and foreign. So, by this, we stand as a bridge, as a bridging gap, or as an avenue through which we can bring the government and the foreigners together.
Just to drop a line that the initial presentation was meant to be around 5 minutes. If you want to take another minute to wrap it up, if that's okay, so that we can actually have time for the feedback as well. Does that sound okay?
Okay, thank you. Now let me just say lastly. Now, the customer value proposition is a friendly business economy, which means an economy where both foreigners and the local investors can thrive through different proposals, through integration, bringing a gap or bridging the gap between the foreign investors and the local investors for the purpose of enhancing or bringing a more economic development in Cyprus, particularly Northern Cyprus. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And this seems like a monster of a proposal, idea proposal. You also included an initial slide that summarizes everything that you wanted to do. And I think because you're connected from 2 devices, there were at times some sound difficulties. You were getting cut off, but just to recap everything, I'm going to go ahead and read the paragraph that you also included. So the Cyprus Economic Center is a social enterprise, there we go, hey, that seeks to improve the local economy of Cyprus, standard of living, digital transformation, welfare, employment opportunities, encouraging foreign entrepreneurship and investment in the country. There's a lot of things happening here, all good things, but a lot of things at the same time. I'm just wondering if that's going to be, at least for the initial starting up stage, if that's going to, how that might affect the starting up of this center, which sounds fantastic, but I'm going to pass over to the experts on this and hear what they have to say regarding the center. Who would like to begin?
I'm trying to, I'm just starting because I'm a bit older, and instead of giving you, maybe I give you that time and Dimitra to think. If I
want, do you have any? Oh, there we go.
If I wanted,
you were still thinking.
Yes, if I wanted to do it in a social way, because this is what I'm trying to see the social enterprise out of it. As an enterprise, everybody can do it, and it's a very good step. Malta have done it, and it works a lot. I'm cooperating with them. It's one of the few things that I've seen so successful in Malta. So I'm trying, I know that as a gap, it exists. It's a gap. It's a gap everywhere in both sides. So it's a huge step. And if I wanted to do it tomorrow, I would have gone and find the local entities that would be interested and would be profited by this. And I would create a social enterprise out of a cooperation of all these entities. So I would say, I will give you this service, I will assist you, I will be the central point, let's say, and you can do it all together through a social enterprise that would be, let's say, funded by all of you. You will give something like 500 euros a year, or a month, it depends. And we could, so one thing is that if you are in the market of the North, then you could do it. You could bring people together. I don't know if you are or not. So this is one question. So if you know the people, the local people that would support this effort, it would be an amazing thing. So they would be benefited through a service that they will not be able to do it for themselves. And you should also be very careful. So, and this, if you have this partnership, then this could become a social enterprise, because at the end, you are not expecting a profit coming out of this, but the profit will go directly actually to the members of this effort. Emmanuel.
Thank you. Thank you. I can hear you.
Burak, Dimitra, anything that you would like to add to that?
I can add. I mean, it sounded like a perfect mini government project to me. It sounded like how actually the government should do what they should do. And I'm not quite sure if I got your product. I didn't understand your product, what your product is. And I would say it's great, it's a dream, it should happen, but I'm not sure if it can happen on a huge scale like this. You should check a bit the local law. There is YAGA, who actually does what you suggested, Yatırım Geliştirme Ajansı. It's under the Prime Ministry in North, which is similar to the Investment Promotion Agency in South, which helps and assists, determines the priorities of investment and helps investors from abroad. Yeah, like now they're focusing on, they were focusing on movie industry, the Hollywood project of the Investment Promotion Agency. So this is things to keep in mind. And if I was an investor, why would I come to you directly and not go to the government and have a middleman if I was really interested in investing in that market? I mean, these are some questions to consider and some legal checks that you might need to do if you really want to go on with this.
Thank you, Burak. We have some comments from the mentor, which was Ibrahim Isaac. He was part of our training of trainers, and he's been attending our activities. And his note on what the center is doing initially is by educating. So it's the education in the initial stage, and to create awareness of the need that they have listed. It's a huge idea, yes, but it's a disadvantaged area. Okay, so the idea, so we had fields of work, and we had work integration, personal social services, and then the local development of a disadvantaged area. And this is in a way looked by the government, I guess. So the idea is to bring progress and development to what is essentially a disadvantaged area, in the sense of perhaps a community, like a group of people who are disadvantaged. He further goes on to say that the product is the cause. So the product is essentially the activities that they're going to be doing in the center itself and the education that they're going to be yes, and 5 minutes is not enough time to try and explain what essentially a government can do. But perhaps, I mean, I'm thinking if there's a lot of things happening that maybe, starting with education is education and also maybe lobbying and providing advocacy for you know, the government to actually do what they're there to do essentially. I mean, what do you think on that part? Is it a matter of it starts off with a smaller bite to handle and then eventually develops into this center? What would you say to that, maybe?
Okay, can I speak? Sure. That's why we have the key partnership, which has to do with lawyers that most likely will have to interpret what the law actually states and policies, and how it can be done. No, we can't do this thing on our own. That's why we need partnership from those that have expertise in it. like the technocrats, the chambers of commerce, and the lawyers, and all these people. Now they are there just to create a balance. Okay, this is what this means. This is what it entails. This is how to be about it. This is what you should do. But the major emphasis, the major focus is to bring about an educational platform where people can learn the different policies that govern the Northern Cyprus and how they can go about it, the means to which they can get their small business started, and how they can make it successful. So that's why we have all those partners there. Not something we can do from on our own, because we can't know everything without these people involved. Thank you.
And I guess if this is something that, I mean, it is a gap and it is a need, it is a requirement, then perhaps starting off, like we said, or as you also said, from one part of it, the education and the raising the awareness of it and what needs to be done section of it, and then sort of growing into it in time, may make things a lot more manageable. And also it will help in focusing your energy on who you need to be contacting with, who you need to be collaborating with to make sure that the actual goals that you've set for yourself are being met. But thank you so much for that presentation. It is a lot to handle in 5 minutes, and we have another presentation that we need to switch to, so we will move on to that before we run out of time. And unfortunately, we lost one of our presenters due to the internet. So as someone who was there, I'm going to be taking over on their behalf. So the idea was to, this is working in the other field of work for social enterprises, so it's more of an environmental area, and the idea was to use used cooking oil for public transport. And we can move on to the next slide if that's okay, Dimitra. So basically, we're taking Tiganokinisi and we're making it public. The idea is to have buses all around the country, or we'll start off with one town and see how we fare with that. But to use, to fuel public transport by used cooking oil. And this is something that has been done with Tiganokinisi. So where the idea is to take something that has been done and tested and use it onto public transport. Mainly catering to those in need of mobility. So from the previous business model, the issue of transport and lack thereof it would hopefully fulfill the need for that, and it will also inevitably reduce the congestion and traffic that is also in small towns and villages, while spurning a fuel that isn't going to contaminate the air quality. So the idea, this was like the main idea, and then there was a supporting idea that would go with that, either from the get-go or maybe later on, and it was an app that would work in conjunction with the buses, and you would be able to walk to accumulate credit with the help of a pedometer. So it's public transport, but it's also encouraging low impact exercise as well. And the idea was to either use the credit for yourself or then donate it to disadvantaged groups, students, people without the means to travel. But if we move, I mean, there were many ideas that we came up with, but we stopped there. So we'll go on to the next one, and so we can see the actual business model. It says, oh, they're coming in waves. Let's get it all up there. Lovely. So the type of intervention was providing public transport, vehicles and services, and the management of a harmful waste. So yes, we did use answers from the Tiganokinisi business model, but that's okay, because why fix it if it ain't broke? We would be needing a dream team, obviously, people to initially set it up, talk to people, convince municipalities that, you know, this is something that we need in case they didn't have an idea of the need for public transport, seed funding, collection equipment, so on and so forth. A lot of partners and key stakeholders here, a lot of people who are going to be possibly working alongside us to make sure that the the buses are running okay, and the oil that's being treated is done in the correct way, people collecting, companies collecting the oil, as well as getting in touch with schools, and also existing private bus services are a few to name. Our key activities would be the collection of the used cooking oil. We would do something similar to what Tigana Kinisi is doing, as well as having drop-off points and collection points, and we would include restaurants, hotels, takeaway centers, and also food factories. So factories that are involved in the mass production of food would be taking their waste, unwanted, harmful oil and using it for good once we've converted it. We'd also be creating a lot of job opportunities, and considering that, you know, driving a bus doesn't necessarily require you to talk to a lot of people because you got to be focused on the road, and that eliminates the language barrier as well. So a lot of job opportunities will also be created for those who were unable to get jobs due to language barriers. And then our minor activities there, encouraging low impact physical activity through the walking app. Now, our beneficiaries and users would be the local community, you know, general public. We kept this in water and wastewater boards. We're not sure if there's a wastewater board in the north, but I'm sure there's someone dealing with waste management, and there must be some problems going on when, you know, people are wrongfully disposing it down the drain of the used cooking oil. Local businesses, the ecosystem, we thought we'd include there, the environment, the, you know, may not have a heart or eyes or a nose, but it sure is living and breathing in some way. And we think that it will also be a beneficiary, so I put that there in pink. Local authorities, unemployed person and disadvantaged groups, and that basically ties in with the app donations that would be taking place. I won't go over the customers because you could easily read that, and our value proposition. So we would be creating opportunities for green technology and sustainability, and the amount of savings that we get from the sustainability and green technology would be something that we would be able to measure. Freedom of movement is something that it's a human rights. It's a human right, I should say. So presenting people with freedom of movement more readily available and affordable is also one of the value propositions. Access to UCO disposal services, people who fry oil, who want to get rid of it, would be able to dispose of it. Savings due to improper waste disposal, yes. I'm going to skip over those real quick. I'm going to get to the impact measures because this is one that we were wanting to check and see if it was actually possible. We had some question marks, but number of people employed, that one's okay. Number of people riding the bus, we could easily measure that. Number of buses fueled by UCO and number of cars on the road. So this was something we would use to see at the beginning of the implementation. We'd measure how many cars are on the streets, and then once the buses have been introduced, we'd be testing this throughout 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 12-month period to see whether there's been a reduction of the number of cars, whether there's an increase of the buses. Like if we were to work with public private bus services, they would, if they wanted to join us, then we would have to transform their engines into ones that could run on UCO. So we'd see if there's an increase in, I mean, that's a bit of a given. There would be, because at the moment it's 0. And then also air quality measurements. So we'd actually measure the before and after of the air quality from a particular place and see whether that has made an impact on the air quality. One of them, I'm going to skip over because I'm quite conscious about the time. One of the exciting things that we wanted to do with the surplus was to invest in the infrastructure, as well as investing in the establishment of the preservation and protection of natural heritage sites. I mean, the both of us, we've studied in the UK and we're very familiar with these national heritage sites, but they're essentially parks that people can go to and enjoy, and it's being preserved and kept and well maintained. Rather than having national heritage sites, we thought of natural heritage sites where people would be able to go and enjoy nature in a safe and well-kept manner. And that's the bit that really got us doing this sort of action together. So I will leave it at that, and comments. I will let you comment on it. Thank you. Who would like to go? I forgot that I was facilitating.
I gotta go. So I just want to say thank you for everything. Good luck, and please
thank you so much.
I don't know how can I share my email if anyone wants to contact me.
If anyone needs to get in touch with you, they can write to us through the Go Social email address, and we can then send your email address to them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and sorry for the delay. I guess this is why it's better to focus on one thing, people, both in social entrepreneurship and when presenting and hosting a webinar. It's easy to get distracted. Yes, comments, if any.
Burak, please.
Should I? Okay, we changed the order. So I really like it. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. If it's already a proven business model as well, I think it would work. I'm just, I don't know if you will need to change anything on the bus to be able to use that as a fuel. And what will be the cost benefit analysis for the company? So is it going to be cheaper for buses to use your fuel rather than traditional fuel? If yes, I mean, that's a great opportunity, but also if not, you know how people think in our society, they're a bit more conservative about this. So the market potential might be lower. So if you're not making profit at the end, there needs to be a feasibility, but I think the idea is great.
And all are being noted. Michalis, any comments from Tiganokidis?
Yes, several issues. Now, one thing is that the used cooking oil cannot be used directly to the diesel engine, so it has to be a bit treated. And this means that we need a kind of an industry to, yes, to turn it into biodiesel. It's a matter of legal obligation. And then you enter the tax issue, which is very strict in all entities. And so, I mean, it's a taxable product, the used cooking oil, unfortunately. And so it will have several issues that have to be solved, legal issues. Also, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is a competition, that at this moment, at least in our side, they buy this cooking oil. So it's one of the problems that we have with Tiganoginisi. If it is a social project like Tiganoginisi, then you can ask the people to participate, like we do in the schools. So what we did is that we got the schools involved in this, and so the children bring their used cooking oil from houses. Now, the household used cooking oil is not in competition. I mean, they don't. The others that they collect used cooking oil are not collecting from houses. So it's a niche market, let's say, and it's a free market. It's a free area. And I would say that you have to discuss with. You are talking about, of course, the buses that are already in circulation, isn't it? You are going to buy new buses.
Well, that's the part where we were because we're not familiar with how it works. So we would either have to take existing buses, convert them, or we'd have to look into funds to purchase more. But the idea was that there are a lot of buses that are sort of discarded here and there and not used, and whether it would be an option of converting those into UCO run buses. So there is a question mark there.
I think that we have to discuss it more. Okay.
Definitely, and we will do that. We will do that, but not on the next group's time, which we're already slightly eating into. But after this is just closing remarks. So we're gonna get Cansu back up on our screen. And Cansu apparently had a question for us, which we will answer in the Q&A if we have time again. Hi, Cansu.
Hi again.
We'll discuss your question, I'm sure, much later, for a lot more at a much later date. But
you already made some points about that.
Yes, yes. Michalis is always quick to make points on behalf of everyone. If there's any questions, even before he knows it's coming, he's there to answer them. So the fifth idea, the final idea and business model for today is the building of sustainable mini farms in schoolyards. And with that, I will hand over the screen to you. Off you go.
Okay. Me, Samara, and Aisha, we worked on this model together. And in this business model, we want to build sustainable mini farms in schoolyards where students are involved in farming activities. We named it as a School of Young Farmers, thanks to our group member Arish, he named it. So in order to do that, first we need to train teachers about organic farming. And then let them to teach their students how to farm and how to build and sustain a farm in their schoolyards. Type of intervention that we're planning to do are training of teachers about organic farming, training of students by teachers, provision of agricultural products. We are planning to sell these products and then donate the money for the people in need. Management of household organic waste, I'll tell you how we are planning to do that. We are planning to put composting boxes in schools and use that compost as fertilizers in our farming activities. Key activities: expert training in organic farming, collection of household organic waste, involving students in farming activities, and environmental education for schools. Key resources: students, teachers, schools, farmers or agricultural engineers. We're not sure who to get there because we need someone to train us about organic farming. And farming equipment like wooden stoves, composting boxes in schools, and funding from EU. Users and beneficiaries: students, refugees or people in need, local community, teachers, schools, trainers, and the municipality. Value proposition for students are they'll get applied education about local production and being sustainable. Refugees will get funding. Local community, we will help them to reduce their organic waste and they'll have an access to student-grown food. Teachers, they will be involved in raising environmental awareness among their students. And school will gain more discretion from the community and they will have more environmentally aware students. Trainers, they'll help us to spread the knowledge, and the municipality, they will have less organic waste in their landfills. Our customers are going to be local community. They'll support local production and development and they'll help to raise funds for people in need. Partners and key stakeholders: Ministry of Education, we will need their permission and we will need their help. EU Commission to supply us funding. Parents, they will supply us organic waste. Teachers, they will take part in training. Students will take part in farming activities, school administration, and also the trainers. Channels, we will promote the business by presentations and through the social media. We will do educational presentations at schools. We will get Ministry of Education's permission forms, and through the website we will promote our business. Cost structure, agriculture equipment, transportation of those wooden stalls, website, promotional actions, educational equipment like posters, flyers, etc. Revenue streams, funds, volunteer actions of teachers and students, sales of agricultural products, and we will need money for more equipment for farming, so we will spend our surplus money on them. And impact measures, number of students participated, number of teachers and schools participated, number of teachers that are trained, profit that we made by products, amount of products that are produced in kilograms, so we are trying to weigh them all, amount of waste collected, and number of people benefited from funds. Yeah.
Thank you, Cansu. Anyone wanting to take the lead regarding comments? We have a garden in the school backyard. What's not to like about it? Any suggestions or comments or advice, maybe? I think I don't see why this wouldn't work. Why isn't it already being done? Almost is the question that should be asked. But Mihalis, would you like to?
I may say, because I participated in this effort in the South, but it was made in a way that it wasn't so social, and that's why it failed. So the person that initiated it was an agriculturalist. He had good ideas, but he had the profit in his mind per se. So he didn't open the whole issue into the society to involve. He didn't know actually how to involve society. When I say society, let's imagine that we have a parent in a school that he was interested or she was interested to come and assist. One thing is that, or maybe somebody from the neighbor could have a look once a day, could pass from there and be involved, because the kids and the teachers are not usually so committed during Saturdays and Sundays to go and have a look and all this. So, and also mind you that during the summer, that it's actually the best time for those fruits and vegetables. It's the schools are closed, so we're always talking about the winter. That meant that we built greenhouses in each house, so the cost is going higher. But it could work perfectly if we could involve volunteers. And in each school, so the first thing is the resistance from the headmaster. Burden in her mind. Okay, I mean, you built a small greenhouse in the yard, which part, how, then the cost of water is very high. So you may need recycled water. At this moment in Nicosia, we have the distribution in no more than 1 or 2 years, we will have wastewater being used. So this could be used with very low cost in Nicosia area, but not everywhere else. So there are many, I would say that I'm thrilled with the idea. I believe that if you have the courage to go and convince the schools and the authorities to allow you to do this in the school, and you, especially if you manage to get the parents involved, because in each school, you know that we have this council of parents, how do you call it?
Parent-teacher association.
Bravo. If you manage to get them involved, they will be thrilled because the kids are learning a lot. And at the end, actually the kids per se, the kids by themselves, they were actually asking their parents and they were buying all the products. You didn't have to take them out of the schools, just a bag, put the lecture in it, and we were just giving it for €1 the one lecture, which usually is 0.15 cents. So you could earn money. However, you have to convince and to have a more societal way of working. So you could have a website that you could put all the ideas and all the experiences, and so all the schools would see, what happened to the other school? We have this disease, how did they tackle it? So if you make it more societal, it will work. If you make it more professional, it will fail. We tried it, and because the man who started it didn't manage to understand that, at the end he said it doesn't work.
And I just want to quickly ask if Burak has anything to say about this as well, because quite recently you were actually part of the team who won the Pusula campaign with Gardens of the Future. And I believe what you're doing is, the idea is to, let's say, reinvigorate, would that be the right word to say? But make it green again, basically, going to these urban places and using unused plots or the bits of soil that are still remaining in urban places and planting things there, is it not?
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing, and it's what Michael also said. It's about keeping it social, keeping it at community level, and it's a place when people can come, coexist, co-create, and build more green spaces. So in short, that's what it's about.
Do you think, let's say, Gardens of the Future, maybe once it's up and running and going, could like back up this idea of let's take this into the schools as well, and maybe it then spreads into a whole movement? Maybe we'll have not just in schools, but maybe business places as well. They obviously
Definitely
have a lot of places to put grass up, so
Definitely.
maybe it's the start of a. Yeah. Please do.
I think we really need it, even though we live in an island. We're not that green, and we don't have everybody is not like planting or doing this and that, and it really needs to be a movement, and it should be everywhere. It can be in offices, as you said. It can be like common spaces where people just can go out, where they smoke is not good, or just to have a break, they go outside or have lunch. Maybe they can co-create their own garden where they're having their lunch breaks. Somebody can bring a plant and some small thing and create this atmosphere for themselves. I was amazed to see this in Central Europe, where they don't have a lot of land, like in Strasbourg, next to the youth center. People are renting like 2 meters by 2 meters land just to plant and grow their own cucumbers or their own lettuce or tomato, whatever, and just to have it. So it's there, it exists, and it's a matter of the time when we're going to see this also happening in Cyprus.
And perhaps soon is the answer for that. Thank you, Cansu, for sharing your idea. So we've basically done everything we said we came here to do. Thank you, Burak, and of course, Stephen and Dimitra, who had to sadly leave. Thank you all as well. Thank you for listening, by the way. Just some closing remarks before we say goodbye to everyone. We probably won't have time to cover the questions we have, but we will be, as we said, compiling all of the questions that we've had so far and make them into a frequently asked questions document, and then share it with you through email, social media, or our website, which we will also be uploading the videos of the past 3 workshops that we've had as well. Just a reminder that we will be having Turkish workshops as well. The format is going to be modified somewhat, since We do also face a language barrier, but we're going to do our best to make sure that everything that was covered within these 3 days will also be included in the Turkish version. And if you know of anyone who would be interested, please, once the material is out there, once the dates are out there, please do share it with people. Social entrepreneurship isn't, you know, as we said before, anyone can get into it if they're in the right mindset. If you've got the passion for it, you can go into it and you can give it a try. Even if you don't see the spark in you, just start taking those first few steps, and you might be surprised with what happens. You might actually come across someone, and it might be that you're just missing that team member who's going to elevate everything and take it forward. Or as Burak mentioned as well, go out there, meet people, network, pitch your idea, talk to people, brainstorm with people. You know, it's not, there's no one way of going about it. What's important is that you just have to go out there and do it. And I think by being here, you've already taken a step towards that. And we just hope that you stick with it and you're persistent and, you know, you find your passion and you go through it. If you would like to drop us a line with a question or two, we'd be happy to guide you in the right direction, introduce you to people and say, you know, oh, by the way, there's this organization, there are, you know, these people are doing this on the internet, online. Please go and introduce yourself there as well. Take action. We'd hate to see these ideas to just sit there on a shelf. So with those words of, hopefully those words of encouragement, go ahead and follow us on social media as well, because we do share some other ideas and tips and tricks on how to go ahead and enter the world of becoming a social entrepreneur, as well as our activities that are going to be coming up. We're still in the process of trying to figure things out due to lockdown, due to travel plans. We don't know how that's going to play out, but if you follow us on Facebook, I mean, if we can have the link, the slide up with our social media information, it's just Go Social Cyprus, and it's behind me, but you can't see it. I got all prepared, but you can't see it. It's fine. There we go. It's there at the bottom. Our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we do make announcements when we have events. So please do follow us. Do tell your friends. We will be getting in touch with you about the certificates that we're going to be handing out for your participation. And at the end, I need to remember this because I tend to forget this one. Once we say goodbye and close the platform, you will be getting an evaluation survey. It's a brief thing. It shouldn't take you more than 30 seconds. If you've enjoyed this, if you've found it beneficial, and if you've been inspired to go out there and show the world what you can do, then please take those 30 seconds to show us what you thought of our workshops. On behalf of the Go Social team and our guests and our listeners, I would like to say thank you to everyone. So a big thank you to everyone who's supported us through this, and hopefully we will see you at another Go Social event or another Cyprus Inno event, or basically maybe at your opening day. Who knows? Until then, take care, everyone, and thank you so much.
Bye.